I want to start this video off with a big thank you to Jay and Christina from Jay's Crazy Cuts for sending me this hat. I had mentioned in a video before that since I'm getting quite the collection of Toro mowers, that I would love to have one of the Toro hats that seem to be exclusive only to GIE 2019. I've looked all over online, you get a million Toro hats, but you can't get this one. And so that's why I think it was exclusive to GIE. But either way, I've had a lot of people contact me, and there are people sending me other really cool Toro hats, and I'm super thankful for that. Thank you to all you guys that have contacted me and said you're going to be sending them. So, but I just wanted to throw that out there first, and thank you to Jay and Christina. Now, the main purpose for this video is to cover common misconceptions, and I made a video titled just that, and it was common misconceptions about the walker mower. Now, I know I'm wearing a Toro hat, I'm standing next to Toro, but we got walkers signed right here, so it justifies, right? So, but I made a video called Common Misconceptions about the Walker Mower, and it is a great video, and it covers everything that are common misconceptions. But I'm just going to go over a couple things because I've seen a number of videos, I think 4 or 5 different videos lately, that people have been discussing different mowers, and the topic of walker mowers always seems to come up. And I'm just going to give it to you from my perspective. I have, for many years, run all different brands of mowers, and for a long time I protested walker mowers for the same exact reasons that seem to be the common misconceptions for most people. And I ran one a couple times here and there, and I said, nope, I was right. You know, there's just no way. Here's the problem with that. The problem is, you can run a mower for a couple times here and there, maybe a few hours here and there, maybe a day or two here and there. And you're going to get an opinion of that mower, whether it be a walker, a Toro, a Wright, a Skag, whatever. But I don't think that that truly is going to answer any of your questions. I don't think it's going to prove things to you one way or the other. You have to put in serious seat time to know if what you think about that mower is true, or to find out whether it can do for you what you think it can do. So, in general, walker mowers, are they slower than other mowers? Yeah, a lot of times they are slower than other mowers. I will tell you, however, my Walker B, which is only a 19, it's only a 19 horse carbureted motor, that thing mows just as fast as my Wright Sport X. Neither one of them is faster than the other. I wish I could say the Walker was a little faster, but it really isn't. They are identical. Billy and I have raced them things across parking lots, full bore. It doesn't matter. They're neck and neck. You know, there's not even like a couple inches in between. I had to pause that for a minute. I don't know if you can see, but my wife came home. I saw her van pull in the cameras, and I had to go talk to her for a minute. Anyway, the point is, neither one of them were faster than the other. So to say that, you know, walker mowers are too slow, a lot of people are comparing that to bigger mowers, like a big sit-down Ferris or a big sit-down Skag or the Wright ZK. Well, in that case, you can't compare it to like my walker or the standard, most well-known walker, which is the GHS with the hopper on the back. Of course those are slower. If you want to take a big mower like that and compare it to a walker, go buy an H with the 37i EFI engine on it and compare it to that. That thing flies. Okay, so a lot of people are comparing it to what they already run. So there's no way a walker's too small. Well, you're comparing it to the wrong version of a walker. You know, if you want to compare a Wright mower to a walker, then you got to take like my Walker B and compare it to like a Walker I or a Walker a B, like a B19 or something. You know what I mean? So you got to have the equivalent mower before you're going to go comparing. As far as bagging, that was another huge issue that I had with not wanting a walker, because I know they bag better than anything on the market, and I know that it's just more convenient because you don't have a huge blower hanging off the side of your deck, so you can fit in tighter spaces and still bag. But my big issue was the same one a lot of other people have, which is how do you get the grass or the leaves from the hopper into the truck? Now, there is the high lift, which is extremely expensive. I think it's something like $4 grand to have that option put on your mower. But there are other options like what I've shown 100 times in my videos. There's no, everyone says, oh, you just got to dump them on a tarp and then you got to pick the tarp up, put the tarp in the truck, and it's a big pain in the ass, which it really would be. But I've showed many times in my videos, I buy these plastic bins. The set I have now I've had for 2 years. I'll still be able to use them this year. They're in perfectly good shape. And they're just plastic totes I get from Walmart or Sam's Club or Home Depot. They're about $7 a piece each one. And I just set them right underneath the hopper. I flip the hopper up, pick them up, tip them in. They're actually 10 times easier. I've had the Exmark Laser Z, I've had the Skag Tiger Cat, all with 3-bag bagging systems. They are 10 times easier because they're so open. It's quick flip, done. There's no flipping it, shaking it out, or grabbing the bottom of the bag, shaking it out to get the stuff to come out. It's just quick flip, done. I can do it so much faster and empty that hopper so much faster. There's also another option. The Walker has the bins that you can buy. Now they're expensive. It's like $300 for the set of them, but they slide right in the back of the hopper. So when you're done bagging, or when your bagger's full, you slide one of the bins out, flip it right in, just as easy because they're wide open. Slide it back in there, pull the other one out, dump it, back in. Problem solved. So another huge misconception. I have those bins. You guys know I don't use them. The reason that I don't use them is because the bins themselves take up a little bit of room. So that's a big flaw on Walker's part. But I mean, they had to have a fix to the problem, which I think is a very good one. But they take up more room in there, so it seems like my hopper fills up faster. I don't get as much in there. So that's why I use the bins I just set on the ground. Super simple. And the other huge thing is people tell me all the time, it's not as efficient. It's not as efficient because you're either bagging all the time or you have to spend $2,000 on a side discharge deck to discharge it out the side. Whereas, a lot of other mowers, you can have the blower hanging off the side. And if you want to go to side discharge, just pull the blower off. Well, certain brands you can do that and others you can't. Skag, for one, you cannot do that. You have to have these 2 baffles, one front and back, which is one of the things I hated about my Tiger Cat. You had to have these 2 baffles, they bolt in. There's 2 bolts that hold the front one in, there's 2 bolts that hold the back one in. You have to have those baffles in there when you put that turbine on to bag. And if those baffles are not in there, it will not blow everything straight into that turbine that hangs off the side, and that blower that hangs off the side. It will blow it out from underneath, it'll blow it out the front and the back, you'll have grass everywhere. It's a pain in the butt. But if you decide you want to go to side discharge and you pull that off there, you now took like a 16-inch mouth and took it down to, I think when I measured it was like 7 1/4 inches. It's super small. So if you just pull that blower off and you go to side discharge without that blower on, it's a nightmare. It clumps, it blows crap, it's horrible. I mean, Skag, I'm not a huge fan of their deck design in the first place, but the problem is even with the way their deck is designed, when those baffles aren't in there and you're side discharging, it actually does pretty well. I've never really had a problem with my Skag deck. Even that Velocity deck, I don't think it's the best for my area, but I really never had a problem with it. It would still blow out perfectly fine. Now, here's the alternative. Sometimes you need to bag and sometimes you need to side discharge. So let's look at it this way, okay? So for the people that are saying, now I gotta go buy another deck if I want to with my Walker. Well, there's a lot of times I just flip that door up and let it blow out the back. And because that oscillator is constantly going back and forth, it lays that grass out and you really don't have a problem. It's usually fine unless you're in heavier conditions. Then you gotta go over it again and double cut it. It's no different than if you had those same exact conditions with a side discharge. 9 times out of 10, you gotta go over it again to spread it out. So you pretty much do the same thing. So for those people that say, blow out the back, it leaves it, laying in clumps, or it leaves it looking like a hay field out there. I really have never had any issues with clumps. I have had the issue where it looks like a hay field out there. But again, you just go over it a second time and then it's done. It's clean. There's no clumps, there's no laying grass, there's no nothing. It does very, very well, which is exactly what you would do with a side discharge. So that kind of rules that out too. My point with the people that say, now I have to buy a second deck. Well, I'm going to buy that mower, and to buy another deck, a side discharge deck, like I bought that 56-inch deck with only a couple hundred hours on it used off a guy for $1,000. If I wanted to go buy that deck, I'm looking at like $2,000 to $2,400 to buy that deck. So I buy the machine and spend another $2,400, we'll say at high end, for that side discharge deck. All right. When I bought my Tiger Cat, I think it was like around 10 grand, 9,800, 10 grand, something like that. The bagging system with the blower, the tube, the mount, the 3 bags on the back was $3,500. So I had to buy the machine, so I had the side discharge deck, but to be able to bag with it was another $3,500. Okay, so I buy the Walker mower that already bags, but the side discharge, now I spend $2,400. You see what I'm saying? You're kind of coming out the same. You're not really making out any further ahead with either one to get the two things done. And any argument that people have presented to me has been just that. They're like, well, you know, I don't have a problem with buying a walker, but now if I want to go to side discharge, I got to spend $2,400. Well, if you buy your Tiger Cat or your Ferris or whatever, and you decide, and it's side discharge, you decide you want to bag, you're spending $3,000 plus for the bagging system. So you see what I'm saying? Like, you're spending the same either way to get the two features that you want to get. So you're really not coming out any further ahead. The only drawback in the major thing that I have found with walkers is their price. Their machines are ridiculously overpriced. They are a lot of money. They're probably the most expensive mower on the market other than like a Ventrac. They are just very, very expensive, but a lot of machines are getting up there. You know, if I wanted to go buy a new walker with a GHS right now, I'd probably be looking around $14,000, $15,000. If I wanted to go buy a new X-Mark, Staris or whatever their brand is that they have out now, or like the equivalent is Toro, it's $15,000, $16,000. So everybody's prices are going up anyway. You know, Walker used to be the most expensive by a huge margin, and now it's not so much the case anymore because everyone else's prices are going way up through the roof, just like Walkers have. But the alternative to that is parts for walkers are very expensive, very expensive. Like for this mower, not Toro, maybe not Toro OEM, but I can get, if I was in a bind and I needed 3 spindles for this deck, I can get 3 spindles for this deck. If I search long enough on eBay, probably $150, $180, I can buy a kit of 3 spindles and throw them on this deck. They're probably aftermarkets, which chances are they're made at the same exact place. They just don't put the brand name on them, which drives the price down. That's usually how it goes. But the gearboxes for a walker are $200 to $250 a piece for all 3. So the alternative, you know, just that one part is an example. Walkers are generally way more expensive. But when you really get down to it, a lot of people say, you know, walkers break all the time. They're always breaking down. You know, they're a lot of high maintenance. Brian Shane has done a video on this. He's probably the godfather of walker mowers as far as YouTube goes. Most people didn't even know what a walker was until Brian came on the scene. And then I have made hundreds of videos pertaining to walkers, and there's a bunch of other guys that make walker videos too. And we have all stated over and over again, every single one of us that own them and run them every single day, that that's such bullshit. They do not break any more than any other mower. If I use this mower here and my walker mower in the same exact conditions, day in and day out for an entire season, that walker, neither one of my walkers will break any more than this thing will. Bottom line, if you are working a piece of equipment, if it's mechanical, it can and will break. It's only a matter of time. It's just the way it goes. I don't care who makes it. I love my GMCs. I give all my friends that have Fords, I give them so much shit about Fords. But bottom line, Ford, Dodge, Toro, Skag, Wright, it doesn't matter. If it's mechanical, it can and will break. It's just how long it's going to take. Now, if you take care of your equipment, you do the normal maintenance to your equipment, you don't beat the hell out of your equipment, then yeah, you're going to get more life out of it. And I am very, very picky on maintenance. There's 100 videos and people have brought this up to me. Well, you're always working on your walker. You're right, I am. But look back to my videos and actually pay attention to them. 90% of everything I've done to my walkers have been add-ons or things that I wanted to do to them. The split tail wheel kit, the upgraded seats on them, the weight kit on the Walker B, the height adjust kits, the run flat tires I went to, the upgrade from the 10 to the 10.5 inch blower on my GHS. The list goes on and on. It's all upgrades and stuff that I wanted to do. I didn't have to do. None of that stuff broke. I mean, the blower did, but that's because my dumb ass ran over a steel spike that some power company guy decided to drop onto the ground, and the grass was thick and I never saw it. That was my fault. But all in all, everyday use, they just run day in and day out. I put them through, you know, what you wouldn't believe. And, you know, I have put my Walker B side by side with a 60-inch ZK mower, and that ZK will bog in places that my Walker B 19 horsepower didn't. And the reason is because when you're running gear driven, you're only using like 15% of that engine's horsepower to power that deck because it's gearboxes and drive shaft. Whereas on a spindle and a belt driven deck, you're taking a big chunk of that engine's horsepower just to power that deck. And whatever's remaining, whatever's left is what the mower itself gets for speed, for traction, for everything, okay? So I can run it through everywhere, and that's another huge thing that people have brought up to me is Walker mowers are meant for nice, even, fine, manicured lawns. And again, couldn't be further from the truth. Those decks are the only deck on the market that is 100% true floating deck. You cannot take, like this for example, people tell me, oh, my machine's got a true floating deck. And before anybody corrects me on that, I believe there's a couple other X-Marks version of that's kind of like the Walker, whatever that thing's called. I think that's a true floating deck, and there's might be a couple others now, but for the most part, they're the only 100% true floating deck. I can grab that deck here, lift it up. I can grab the front, lift it up. I can grab it over there, lift it up. And it's independent. It follows the contour of the ground. That's what it's designed to do. That's why everybody, even people that don't like Walkers, they will tell you you'll not match the cut of a Walker deck. And that's why, whether it's side discharge, bagging, whatever, because they float 100%. They follow the contour. When you're going down through a dip and you're coming back up, like on this machine here, those front tires will start to come up before you get all the way down the dip, which if the tires come up, it lifts the deck up. You're skipping all that grass there. You're not getting perfectly even cut right through, whereas my Walkers will. Okay, so and people have said, my deck's true floating, you know, it has the chains. That's not a true floating deck. It just hangs from chains so it'll move a little bit. That's not a true floating deck. Walkers, it's independent. So I could go on, and we could discuss this till the cows come home about the differences, but, you know, all in all, are they a more expensive machine? Yeah, but like I said, everybody else's prices are coming up there anyway, so the only thing Walker is still in the oddball pack is that their parts are so much more expensive. But do they break down a lot? No. There's so many of us that put videos all across the internet, but yet people keep saying that. And I don't understand what their whole point is and what, and maybe they're trying to convince themselves. I don't get it. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is they do not break down any more than any other machine I've ever run. And trust me when I tell you, I've run them all. Whether it's been from machines that I have owned or machines I've run for other companies I worked for long before I started my business. I've pretty much run everything. And they don't break down any more than any other machine if they're driven properly, if they're operated properly, and if they're maintained properly. They do not break down any more than anything else. But as far as efficiency goes, because I can turn a lot faster than most other mowers, I can do actual 0 turns instead of 3-point turns without tearing up grass because that other wheel is constantly moving because of the drive system. Whereas you do it on a stander or sit down 0 turn, you know, a lot of guys can do it very well without tearing up grass, but most can't. And even the guys that have been doing it forever will still have those errors where they do it. Almost never happens on a Walker, and you don't even have to think about it or concentrate on your turn. You guys know I still stress 3-point turns anyway, but you know, that's just because I ran the other machines for so long and I'm just used to it. But you know, they're just as efficient as anything else. Even the ones that are a little bit slower can be just as efficient as another mower. But there's so many common misconceptions, and I strongly urge you guys, those of you that are saying this and those of you that are still so hung on this, you know, I know it's hard to do and I know it's easier said than done, but instead of spending a day or two on a Walker, instead of spending a few hours on a Walker, run that thing. Find one that you can run. If you got a buddy that owns one or something, run it for an extended period of time. It's really hard to do without actually owning one, but like I said, I protested walkers forever because I have the same common misconceptions that everybody else has, and I protested them forever. And until I really ran it and put in some serious seat time in it, I just didn't know. And I think that's the issue with a lot of other people. I know this video is very long. I'm ending it right here, but I just really need to cover this because I get constant messages all the time where people will contact me and say, hey, you know, somebody said this and this about a walker. Do you really think that's true? I've been looking at this and that. And it's just, that's just the way it goes. And so I figured I'd just make a video again, but I strongly encourage you to go back and look for that video. I can't remember if I did it this past summer, if I did it last year. But it was called Walker Common Misconceptions, and I think the thumbnail said what you might not know or what you don't know about your mower, something along them lines. A bunch of you guys know my videos like the back of your hand, so if you do know what video I'm talking about, put it in the comments down there and I'll pin it so it's up top. I just don't have the time to go look for it right now, but I just really wanted to get this out to answer a lot of questions for some people and to just crush those misconceptions or those opinions that people are constantly putting out there. As always, you don't have to like what we do. You don't have to do what we do. We do it our way, and we're just putting it out there to show you guys. Hopefully it will help some of you. If it helps you in a way that makes you think that this is how I want to do it, or if it helps you in a way that you can look at it and say, nope, that answers that. I'm not doing it the way Countryside does it. Either way, I hope it helps, and it's just the way that we do it. We'll never tell you you have to do it our way. Be on the lookout. There's going to be an interview with me, a live interview with me that is going to be on February 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That video will be coming up, and I will post more about that leading up to that date to remind you guys. Thanks as always for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.